Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is a bit of a follow-up from last week, so if you didn't catch that, I went through my top Hobonichi Weeks accessories, and this week I'm going to do the Cousin. Likewise with the weeks, I've been in this planner for about 6 years now, so over the years I have picked up a few accessories that I really wouldn't be without when using this planner. So to kick off, I'm going to talk about something that if you are not new to the channel will not be kind of new to you, which are these Midori Post-it notes. These are specifically amazing for the Cousin because of the size of them. They fit perfectly in the day slots for the monthly. So if you're using this as your, general kind of day-to-day planner, but you kind of set up the month in advance, but not kind of too far in advance, you might not want to necessarily write your plans in before you've kind of decided on a colour scheme, or if you're going to use stickers or whatever. This allows you to put your plans in advance, just on the post-it note, and then when it comes to setting up the month, you have the post-it notes ready to go, peel them off, set up your month, write in the plans. Also perfect for if there is something that may or may not happen and you just kind of want to keep a placeholder. Perfect way to do it. Really good size, really nice designs. There are other designs other than this one that are equally well sized. They kind of come with this kind of slit, so you can even use it as a monthly page marker. It just, yeah, super handy little accessory, and also pretty cheap. I usually pick these up on Amazon Japan for a few hundred yen when I'm doing my yearly Hobonichi order. There's 60 sheets on here, and that kind of couple of packs of these do me for a month. I even sometimes use them in my weeks because they're not too crazy in terms of the size in comparison to the monthly view in the weeks as well. But yeah, just perfect for any kind of pre-planning, and good and sticky and won't fall out of your planner, because that's one big issue. If you try and do pre-planning, you don't want to open up the planner and then everything fall out. So yeah, highly recommend these. Next up, I want to talk cover. So there's a lot talked about Hobonichi covers, and every year on the Facebook groups there's always messages around which cover do I want, because the cover on cover from Hobonichi doesn't fit, and that's because the cover on cover for the Hobonichi is actually designed to fit around the regular covers that you can get, so like the fabric ones and things like that, and it just kind of protects that cover. If you just want a simple plastic cover, then you need to go for the Midori A5 one. The Midori A5 one, some people will tell you doesn't fit. It absolutely does. You just need to kind of work it in. So this one I've had for a few years, so it's not kind of super taut and tight. It gets like that over time. You do kind of have to work it in and be a bit kind of rough with it to begin with. Some people heat it up with a hairdryer to make it a little bit more malleable, but once you've got it around the planner, it will kind of, become, I guess I was gonna say, at one with the planner, but it will kind of fit to it. So when you first put it on, it won't necessarily lay flat, it'll kind of look like that, but over time, as you can see with mine, it works. It just softens up, makes for a good kind of protective cover for your Hobonichi. And yeah, like I said, you can move this from one planner to the next, because once it's kind of softened up, it comes off and goes back on again pretty easy. So I've had this one for years now, and I just move it from one planner to the next. The reason I have this in this year's Cousin in this planner though, in this cover though, is because once it gets chunky, that is when it has to kind of come out. So if you're a bit of a minimalist in terms of planning and don't use loads of stickers and photos and things like that, then this will do you for the year. If you have a bit of chunk to it, you will eventually have to take it out, because that just won't be able to cope. So yeah, just a side note, part of the reason why I'm thinking of doing Navec next year is so that I can just have something a bit thinner, a little bit easier to use, and keep it in this cover all year round basically. While we're talking these covers, it's not an essential, but in comparison to the Weeks, which has funky designs or nice colours, the Cousin can be a little bit dull. If you're using one of these covers, one of the great things you can do about it is put vellum in here. If you've got any A4 sheets of vellum, they can just slide in. Obviously put the vellum in first and then put the cover in. It will be slightly shorter than A4, but if you make sure that kind of where it is short goes up to here, then you'll literally never see it, because you'll see the front and you'll see it fully covered in vellum. You're kind of dressing it up for the season, because obviously if it's vellum and you're not sticking anything on here, you can literally change it from one month to the next. I've done it with this one in the past, just because I've got it on this at the moment, kind of for archiving. I've left it plain, but yeah, great way just to add a bit of personality to what is quite a plain looking planner. Some people will like that, but if you want a bit of colour, particularly if you've got a Weeks that's quite bright and colourful and has a cool pattern, then you can make your cousin match. Next, I do want to talk tabs. So this was something that was in my Weeks video as well, so I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time on it, but tabs are kind of essential for me in any planner, particularly monthly. So these are just some typewriter style tabs from the shop, but then also other tabs for kind of marking out key sections. So what I've done this year is there's certain sections that I know I'll always have in here. So I always have a collection for present ideas, a collection for YouTube, and just a general inbox. And then there's my current month, index, holidays, and I just labelled these up. These are it's either Avery or Post-it page flags, stuck that on, and then can move them from one page to the next. And I always kind of have basically a permanent page flag for whichever is the current page for my inbox or whatever it is. I then also have Cocoa Fusion tabs, which generally I'll use randomly just to kind of put on to kind of key pages that I know I'll want to refer back to, and I always keep some in the front of my planner, and then kind of here's spare ones. So, you know, if I'm just writing something and I know I'll need to refer back to it quickly, I've got a load of Cocoa Fusion ready to go. Something that I've also recently started doing after seeing someone do it on Instagram, I went through all of my collections, because I realised I had loads of stuff in here that I wasn't really referring back to, because I'd written a collection, I put it in the index, and then wasn't really referring back to it. So what I did was took my Muji page flags and basically coded them all. So each colour basically means something either to do with the house that we're about to buy, something to do with letterage paper, or just general life stuff. And then I've gone through and basically tabbed up the collections according to the subject, just to allow me to quickly go through things, particularly if I'm kind of setting up a new month or working on something to do with letterage paper. I can have a look and go, okay, so what notes did I make that might be relevant for whatever I'm doing, whether it be brainstorming product ideas or content or something like that. It's something that I'm kind of starting to play with, but we'll probably do a bit more of next year, because I'm really good at doing collections in here and making lots of really valuable notes, but then not necessarily doing much with them or referring back to them enough, and I feel like I need a better system for that. So I'm hoping the tabs will help. Next, I want to talk pencil board. So this was something that I mentioned in the Weeks video again, and 100% for the same reasons, definitely worth getting a pencil board or making one. So if you saw my planner DIYs video from a couple of weeks ago, I do talk about how easy it is to make one of these. You don't have to spend the money on one. This year, well, not this year, I think this is 2 years old now, I had to get this Cookie Monster one because I absolutely love the Cookie Monster. But yeah, absolutely essential, particularly if, like me, you do chunk up your planner. As you get on, it does make it quite difficult to write on the kind of, I suppose, uneven side. So just having something underneath to kind of keep it nice and flat, can't recommend enough, particularly if you're doing lines or trying to do kind of washi tape or just trying to write neatly. Sometimes you just need a pencil board. Like when I was doing this, for example, I needed a pencil board underneath, otherwise the line just went completely wonky, even back in April, because the planner was chunking up something mad. Again, another one, I'm not gonna go on too much about this because again, I did talk about this in the Weeks video, but just a side note about blotting paper, absolutely 100% required if you're going to be using fountain pens in this. It also makes a really handy page marker, so I just put, I've got a spare flag there, I just put a, I think this is an Avery tab on the top, put it in there so I can always get back to the page that I'm on at any point, and then it does mean that I can just quickly close my planner at any point and know that I'm not going to smudge it. Pretty simple. The last thing I want to talk about with my page marker that I covered with washi a couple of years ago, and as you can see has not survived, is my yearly overview pages. So every year in my cousin and my weeks actually, I do use a sticker kit on this. The reason being is, although the spread is fine and you can think of 1,000,001 uses for it, this planning space here, which is the last year, so it's a calendar that looks like this, but it's for the previous year, I just find it a bit of a waste of space. I don't do anything with it because there's nothing I want to kind of make a log of or track from the previous year. So I created a sticker kit, which is in the shop, I'll link, just to kind of A, add a bit of decoration on here, and then B, just give myself some extra space, because what I tend to use this spread for, particularly my cousin, is holiday planning. So with my work holidays, I have obviously a set number of days, and I can use this to basically track my holiday, what I've got left, what I need to book, etc, etc. As you can see, I didn't do it in this year because I was using the planner in a slightly different way. I was using it to basically mark bank holidays only, because I had a different way for work holidays. But yeah, that gives you an idea of kind of what it would look like normally. I just prefer this. It's just a bit more functional for me. I guess I can't really call it essential, but for me it's essential just to kind of really eke out as much space and as much use as possible out of these pages, and it does make this spread kind of a little bit more useful for me than this one, because without the kind of space to even put like a key or something, you kind of, yeah, it's just lots of dots on a page really. So yeah, just an extra little thing, something that I will never not do. I think I probably should have put it in my weeks video as well, because I will always put a sticker kit in my weeks too. This is one that I made for myself for last year. Yeah, couldn't not at least talk about stickers once in either of these videos. And that was my Hobonichi Cousin Essentials. Very quick video today. Hopefully that was useful. If you do have any recommendations of things that you find essential for using the cousin, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to have more ideas. I always want to put more things in my planner, and I will be looking to set up next year's planners very, very soon. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.